Awesome. And let's move on to the next part of the show. I'm thinking we got to talk about some bizarre comic books.
I'm excited. I purposely didn't read too much into this before our show. We're like, we normally prep pretty thoroughly for like, okay, this is the next book. Here's what you need to know, Ryan. But I took a look at some of these.
Man, we had to. This sometimes, it's more fun to hit the community.
I'm excited
with some just weird stuff.
This is from Key Collector, right?
Yeah, this is all from the best comic app in existence for learning about comics, for bettering yourself on the hunt, and so much more. This app is filled with categories, a lot of categories, but the categories are free for everyone to utilize. You don't even have to use code TOM101 to unlock a free 2-week subscription because these categories, by and large, are there for you to enjoy. However, there's a handful of categories that are subscriber exclusive categories, such as hotkeys, the spec deck, dollar bin diving. And we've made shows about those very lists before, but that's really getting you like ahead of the curve on stuff, seeing if you can have some comeuppance. But we picked a category today that I just wanted to hit Ryan with because I think it's just fascinating. Not every comic book is key status because of the things that you would think. First appearance here, new costume, first team up, first battle, first time writer did this, first Claremont. You know what I'm talking about?
To me, those are kind of boring, and I don't really honestly care as much as a lot of people about, like, those are cool moments in history.
It's got to strike a chord, Right, like if it's a Green Lantern thing, you're like, okay, I get it.
Sure.
Even
then, though, like, I'd rather read an interesting story.
There we go.
Which I think is all of the books I've heard about on this list so far, like, I want to read, especially this one. I really want to read this. Okay,
so this is a very intriguing comic book, if I should say so myself. This right here is Action Comics 309, 1964. We have an appearance of President John F. Kennedy, who had been assassinated days before the issue went on sale. Now, there is a person masquerading as Clark Kent, but Superman is in the issue. We all know.
I want to read this dialogue out loud. This thought bubble. Superman is thinking something. I want to make sure.
What is he reading?
Well, also, there's a mermaid in the back.
Wait, say it again.
There's a mermaid in the back.
Yes, there is.
I don't know why. Okay, so Superman is thinking here. He's shaking the hands with somebody, and there's a big arrow pointing to him that says, "Who is the mystery masquerader?"
We got to do him better than that.
Okay.
Let's describe the cover to the audio fam. We have Superman shaking hands with Clark Kent, who is the mystery masquerader.
Who is the mystery masquerader?
There it is. And we have Batman and Robin and Supergirl.
Everyone's smiling all goofy like
they're all in line waiting to meet Superman. And what does Superman say?
He's thinking to himself, all my friends are here to congratulate me. But will anyone guess who is the man disguised as Clark Kent, my secret identity?
Dun, dun, dun. And as you will find out in this book, there's a mystery to uncover because something is wrong here. There's two different people that are the same person, Clark Kent and Superman. And throughout this narrative, we have just a bunch of wacky comic booky stuff, 1964 narratives here. Yeah. However, it gets revealed that Clark Kent is actually wearing a mask, and it is revealed to be John F. Kennedy.
Ooh.
There we go.
Yeah.
Concealing himself so he can meet the Man of Steel. And what I find interesting about this is that this would be on sale
like the week he was assassinated. Yeah.
So it's a little...
It's creepy.
Eerie.
I feel like they would have pulled this in the modern era. Maybe they had quicker ways to pull something like that after that happens, but...
Mm-hmm. That book traditionally sees high average sales of like upwards of $150 to $200. Next on the list at number 9, Weapon Brown, number 1. Now, what does that make you think?
Charlie Brown, based on his outfit here.
Based on his outfit, we're looking at a almost like Rob Liefeld-esque character that is, fresh from the 90s, rocking patches, rocking a
big
huge
cyborg
gun.
arm and a big jock pouch down there. And like a big bald Vin Diesel head.
So the first thing we got to say is that this came out in 2002. $30 average sales. However, I will tell the community that you shouldn't pay $30 averages because this issue is print on demand on Indie Planet. This is a website where you can upload your independent comic books and they'll print the comics per order. So that means you can get this book right now for whatever it costs to pay for the comic on Indie Planet. However, this is a book that everyone needs to know about. It's a parody of Charlie Brown that describes the main character as a block-headed, wishy-washy killing machine. It's a one-shot that collects A Peanut Scorned, a story first printed throughout the 4 issues series Deep Fried. So It also includes an original story titled A Weapon Brown Christmas. Now, I actually read through issue 1.
Oh, there's interior art. Okay.
Look at this interior art. So we have what is clearly Charlie Brown flying a kite.
But bulk. He's bulky.
He's like a teenager here.
He's not a little tiny Charlie Brown like we're used to in the comic strips.
Well, the thing is that he's bitter. What we're looking at is a Charlie Brown trying to fly his kite, and the kite wraps around his feet, and he falls, and he's frustrated. Look at his mouth. He's mad. He says, failing, probably again for the 1,000th time. But wait, there's more. Apocalypse!
Nuclear bombs go off.
Nuclear bombs go off. On the horizon, clouds rose, roaring towers of black and orange. They were like trees, a grove of magnificent flames. Malignant flame. I'm reading this from the side, comic fan. Bear with me. So, it was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen in my life.
I want to read this so bad.
I know. You got to read the Charlie Brown hardcore narrative. But look at this.
Good Lord.
He gets turned into
like the Punisher.
Like a Punisher-style character. He's wearing like a protective cup on the outside of his pants. That's for good reason, because the dude was hit with major radiation. This right here is
That's
immature.
why he's got no hair.
Exactly.
Okay. They're giving you some backstory to the Charlie Brown.
You're finding out more info about Charlie Brown.
I'm excited.
Good grief, comic fam. All right, next on this list, it looks like I'm getting a little out of order. No. Let's see if I can find it real quick.
Just don't have the cover?
No, I don't have the cover, but I'm going to find it for the comic fam because it's muy importante. Let's see if I can get it here. We have, this is the Superman book. Oh my God, the Superboy book. Oh, where is it? Comic fan, bear with me. It's the Bags and Boards podcast. Hit the like, slap the subscribe button. It's these moments that I need your support more than ever.
When he fails, just like Charlie Brown.
All right, I'm going to pull it up while we do that. Here, one second.
You can Google it, right?
Oh, I can just get the cover because I have everything else. So we be good. We be good. Superboy number 75.
Superboy 75. The note here says, Superboy spanking cover.
That's right.
I don't know what this is.
All right.
Oh, okay.
You got to see this cover. It is freaking ridiculous. Okay, so this is one of the strangest Superboy covers that you're ever going to see. What does that say, Ryan? Can you read that?
Can you zoom in a little more?
Yeah, I'll zoom
Featuring a Superboy, number 75.
What are you looking at? First, what are you looking at for our audio fam? And then read what it says.
This is a Superboy bent over the lap of Jonathan Kent, and Martha Kent is observing, supervising this whole thing happening, and he is spanking Superboy with what looks like a brush.
But the brush is broken.
It is bent and broken, and it says, Superboy, featuring the punishment of Superboy. And Jonathan is saying, gosh, Ma, I forgot it's impossible to spank Superboy. How can we punish him for being a bad boy?
So good, dude. Freaking comics were so weird back in the day. But you know what? This is a compelling conundrum, if I do say so myself.
How do you punish that child?
It's very, very difficult to figure that out.
I don't have kids, you know? That's the reason.
This comic book actually doesn't dive into this very specific act that makes the cover so...
You mean it doesn't have the cover on the inside of the comic?
Isn't that weird how they did that back in the day? However,
what they don't do that anymore.
But what they do is discuss the challenges of how to parent a boy that sometimes causes mischief because he's a Kryptonian being.
So they're giving you the backstory of why he gets in trouble.
That's right. Okay. So here's an example. We have Superboy. He is at the school aquarium because he apparently some schools, public schools, they're like, you know what? We got to invest in a lot of things. But what we really need is a fish tank as well as electric eels.
That can't go wrong in an elementary school. Oh my goodness, I can't talk.
There we go.
Electric eels in an elementary school.
Good heavens. If the teacher turns and sees my son Clark holding these electric eels without harm, she will know he has superpowers. So you can't have that.
It tickles too. I like the it tickles. That's a good.
It tickles. So
it never dies.
It's a quick story, but it shows different situations that this child gets in that causes problems in his life, and while having to keep his identity secret, makes it that much more difficult to parent. For example, there's a baseball that gets hit by a bat on the outside. It goes through the window into the classroom, bounces off the steel, it's basically as strong as steel head of Superboy, and then hits the teacher in the head, and then naturally the teacher gets pissed.
It's good that you're showing this because we're going to talk about something. We're going to talk about the Silver Age in a little bit. So it's kind of relevant and important that we actually have examples of what the Silver Age of comics was like.
Like the teacher wanting to punish the child because that's what they did. They would just whack the kids with rulers apparently. But then the ruler breaks on his arm. The challenges of raising a child with superpowers. Superboy number 75 goes for around $200 high average sales. This is a book from 1959.
Goodness.
Okay, this next one, I'm so hyped for you. I'm really hoping you did not read anything about this.
Teen Titans.
This is Teen Titans
Not
number
Teen
8.
Titans,
number
but
8.
Team Titans.
So this is a future character who this is a future Nightwing who comes in from the future and gets introduced for the first time. Nightwing from the future embraces evil and becomes Deathwing. He dons a plunging V-neck that exposes his, wait for it,
I'm waiting. Oh, good.
pierced nipples.
Pierced nipples. Someone
That is
clip that
a pierced
out.
nipple.
Oh, that is. Look at it.
How does that make you feel, Ryan?
I don't want to tell you how it makes me feel, but it makes me feel real good.
$3 average sales
Is this the
debuting in
90s?
1993.
93. With a guy
That's
named
right.
Deathwing. That's not a surprise at all. I don't need to see any other images. Do you have any other interior
I
images?
have one more for you, baby. Boom.
There he is. Now Deathwing lives.
Look at that. Look at
What
that.
is the purpose of that shirt? It just covers up his armpits, basically.
Well, he's got to show off.
It leaves his pierced nipples very clearly showing. But also the edges of his shirt have to be rubbing up against the
It's got to be a little uncomfortable to wear
Right?
this costume, is what you're saying.
It must be. And it tucks in at his waist. So I imagine he's got to constantly be stuffing it back into his pants. And it's a lot of work to look this cool.
I
Look
think
at
the
those
real
spiked armbands and he's got the fins on his wrists.
I think that there are not enough heroes with pierced nipples that that are in comic books currently.
Let's normalize that.
That's what I'm trying to do here on the Bags and Boards show, comic fam. Next on the list, at number 6, Hellblazer numero 247. This came out in 2008. This sees $3 average sales. Again, we just talked about a $4 book. This is a $3 book. This is another $3 book. We're talking cover price for bizarre comic books. We found them on Key Collector, the best comic app in existence to learn about funny books. This is why the hunt for dope keys are amazing, because not every one is super expensive. And I like the bizarre.
Yes.
I
me
like
too.
the weird.
I'm enjoying this.
How do you think the Batman slapping Robin became a key book?
Right.
Right?
It's just some random.
It's a random
book.
thing that happened in culture, and it kind of just personified a moment in time that people now hunt for. We have Hellblazer 247. To perform a magic ritual that will temporarily hone his abilities, John Constantine uses mortar and pestle to create a fine powder from the bones of St. Nicholas. The inspiration behind Santa Claus. This is the quote.
Oh, no.
Looks like it's going to be a white Christmas after all.
Okay.
John Constantine grinds up the bones of St. Nicholas. He needs to.
What the hell?
He needs to grind him up. He needs to do his magic that he does so well so that he can get his powers back. He looks at, there's this postcard of Santa Claus and does what he does best.
Oh, jeez.
He snorts Santa Claus. This is hardcore.
This is.
He uses a straw to snort the bone dust of St. Nicholas. This is why John Constantine is one of the coolest characters in DC Comics. He gives no Fs, man.
You don't see Superman doing this.
He sure as hell don't. All right. I'm hoping that we see something like this in the Swamp Thing. What's it called? Green Hell?
Oh, right. Yeah.
I want to see some of that. Come on, man. Let's do it. Next on this list at number 5, we got a Punisher book that always goes it just goes underloved, undervalued, underappreciated. And it's kind of a key Wolverine Punisher book. It's a $4 comic. Battle of Wolverine and Punisher in a story called Vertical Challenge by Garth Ennis. You know, Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. The boys. They don't mess around,
The
yo.
boys.
Come on. It's a 2-issue arc with sequences of violence where Wolverine takes a shotgun blast to the face that exposes the entirety of his adamantium skull.
Yeah.
Look at that beautiful art.
Terrifying.
Terrifying. And that's what we're talking about. The bizarre. You know, Punisher is going to go all in. He's ruthless. He's lethal. And he blows Wolverine's face off. And what we're seeing is a adamantium covered skull only, but just the face exposed.
Somehow his eyes managed to survive a shotgun blast.
That's
Potentially
right.
the weakest part of the face.
That's right.
But they managed to stay intact.
Maybe
For
they grew back fast enough.
a terrifying image.
But that's not the only thing that happens. I can't show you this next part, comic fan, but I'm going to tell you about it.
Is it too graphic?
It is too graphic.
Fun.
The Punisher then incapacitates I can't say this. Incapacitated Logan.
There you go. Yeah, you got it.
All right. He knocks Logan out
okay.
with a close range shot to the genitalia and assured him that they'll grow back. The
He's seen
Punisher
it. He knows. He's seen it before.
blasts off
Wolverine's
Logan's
Wolverine. Yeah.
Logan's little Wolverine. Or whatever. We don't
Moderately
know.
sized.
We don't have a picture.
That's right.
Moderately sized. He's average. I don't know. All right, comic fam, what do you think about this? Because as far as Wolverine books go, key moments, strange things, this right here, as Mojo Quid says, literally so metal. Next on the list at number 4, this is one of those strange ones. This is definitely not something that's like outrageous, but it is
this?
bizarre. Marvel, during the Thor run, did what was called an Marvel Animal variant for a bunch of different comics. And this one happens to be done by Jennifer Parks. This is an artist you can find on Instagram. I scrolled through their Instagram page, and she does a lot of different animal drawings, but also does like nature drawings as well. This one in particular features a cat on Thor's body, but it's not even on Thor's body because those are paws for hands. So this is like
Thor.
It's cat Thor.
Sure.
But you'll be surprised to know, first, that a lot of people will overlook this cover. They don't know about this cover, right?
Right.
$35 averages. It's being listed 9.8s for $200 to $300.
Okay.
All right. It's these types of moments in variants that people overlook and then are surprised about being worth money because it's so bizarre. It's so...
Did you get any of the other ones?
No,
I want to see like
a
a Wolverine or like a Cyclops.
If the comic fam likes and subscribes, maybe we'll actually come back and do some more
I need to see the
coverage
rest
of these variants.
Animal variants. I did not know those existed, and this is amazing.
Next one on this list is one that I've showcased on the show multiple times. We're talking about Sir Cates, Donny Cates. He writes this book called Baby Teeth, which I'm surprised we haven't talked about on the show yet.
Yeah.
I want to get caught up. It's ongoing.
I did read a little. I think it actually just ended.
Did it just end?
It recently ended.
Okay. Well, I know they were
read
up
the
there
beginning
in
of it.
numbers. So I gotta dive into it. But this is a Baby Teeth #1 variant wraparound cover that was limited to 25 total in existence. It is a leather cover. Yes, it's made out of goat skin.
That's horrifying. Okay.
It is horrifying. Baby Teeth written.
Necronomicon stuff.
Yep. It's written in and actually has Roman numerals, limited to 25 numbered copies. And it was painted on real goat skin. $450 average sales. This is a very dark narrative, but definitely one that for horror fans and fans of Donny Cates, Sir Cates, you're going to enjoy it. And this is one of those weird sleeper books because only 25 exist. This is the kind of book that'll skyrocket if something weird happens. But this is a very mature read, so it's tough to see this having a future on the screen. But you never know.
You never know.
You never know. All right.
It would make a cool show. Baby Teeth.
It really would. Okay, this is a really fun book. Star Wars Tales, issue number 19. We get the first appearance of Ben Skywalker. This is number 2 on our list. This is Luke's son in the Legends.
Correct.
What's being considered as legends in Star Wars lore, where
Pre-Disney canon.
Pre-Disney canon, but they don't scrub them entirely. They're
Not
considering
necessarily.
them legends. They may or may not have happened.
Thrawn was pre-Disney canon, but he has somehow managed to survive just because he's that cool.
Exactly, right? So like they definitely pull from certain legend tales, but also they've happened so long ago or they've happened in a time where they may just ignore it. And this is definitely one of the ones where it's like, they're probably going to ignore it.
Yeah.
You know? However, the more important thing is that in Star Wars 19, which is sitting $45 average sale debuting in 2004, here's Luke's son. Very cool.
Okay.
Ben Skywalker, named after probably Ben Kenobi.
Probably.
But also, we have a narrative where it takes place a little bit further in the future. It says here 126 years later, and you see a wreckage of the Millennium Falcon. And there's a couple people that are talking about it. But then a character shows up. A character with a whip. A character with a very
And a fedora.
known fedora, right?
Yep.
A cowboy hat, if you will.
Okay. Kiss.
We have
Wow.
a cameo
Okay.
of Indiana Jones. What? But it happened. Yes.
Weird.
Millennium Falcon crash lands on Earth years ago, and Indiana Jones stumbles on the wreckage in this comic book. I think it's pretty fascinating. It's these types of books that I find a liking to. You know, just like random cameos of characters. If anything, I would say that it is one word. Bizarre.
It's interesting to see Harrison Ford finding the Millennium Falcon.
Which is
again.
fun because Harrison Ford is in Star Wars.
See?
Wow. Okay. Number one on our list today is Kiss, Marvel Comics Super Special #1, debuting in 1977. $200 average sales, debuting in Howard the Duck. However, this is the second appearance of Kiss in comic books. Kiss was a huge, huge fan of Marvel Comics, along with a lot of other rock stars back in the day. They would read comics on tour. You know, you can see Danzig and the Misfits reading comics on the bus. You can see shots of Gene Simmons, who has, according to Stan Lee, a photographic memory. And when they were in the airplane going to Buffalo, New York, where I was born, by the way, to the printing press to deposit the vials of blood.
We talked about this before.
We have talked about this book before.
Forever ago.
The creation of this book consisted of a marketing plan that was wild. The Kiss production company sold the idea, rather, not literally sold, but they sold the idea to Stan Lee to do it, saying, hey, let's make the comic. Let's deposit a couple drops of blood in the ink at the pressing plant.
Oh, man.
And that way we can say that everyone who reads this comic is getting a little tiny bit of the Kiss DNA in their, in the pages of the book when they experience it.
First of all, look at him over there on the right. He's got that Deathwing shirt on with the nipples.
That's it right there. That's the nipple shirt. But he doesn't have pierced nipples, though.
Probably not. You can't tell from this
I
image.
can't tell.
I haven't looked
We
too
need
closely.
to do more analysis.
We need to do some nip analysis of these guys.
Nip analysis.
Yes. But also, this is bringing me back to we were talking about this with like Kia Morgan stuff back in the day, right?
sure were.
This is first couple of months of this YouTube channel.
That's right.
This is bringing me way back.
Yeah, and we'll have to dive back into that because those have
backlog.
actually resurfaced a little bit. But what I found fascinating about this story, you can find this on YouTube. Stan has actually just straight up talked about this experience. On the plane ride to Buffalo, New York, they were going with the KISS members, all four of them, plus Stan Lee, making it 5. They took a plane to Buffalo to then drive to the printing house and then to do the deposit into the ink so that the red ink would have the traces of their blood. So Stan describes it in 2 parts. The first part is the experience with Gene Simmons on the airplane ride. And once they arrived to Buffalo, New York, it was as if the president was in town. The streets were shut down. Kiss was so popular and Marvel was so popular that they had to shut down streets, have police escorts and everything for them to go to the printing house to do this really absurd, bizarre act of dropping drops of blood into the ink that would be then printed on this comic book. But the thing that I wanted to point out was Stan Lee saying that Gene Simmons had a photographic memory. And the way that he knew this was because Gene Simmons on the entire plane ride was asking Stan Lee about random comic issues and panels. Do you remember, Stan, on issue 24 of ASM in panel 5, page 6, and that's how Stan describes it, is that Gene was just super quick and obsessed with this stuff, which is probably like what Stan probably experienced in most of his life going to conventions. People super diehard asking
no idea,
about...
kid. I don't remember writing any of this stuff.
I was just riffing. Riffing, you know, that's how Stan worked. But you know what? We're talking Bizarre Comics. This hit $500 at a 9.0 this past week. What do you think about Bizarre Comics, Comic Fam? I love them. I love controversial comics. I like recalled comics. I like bizarre comic books.
That was
and
fun.
You should too.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed looking through those.
What? Ryan liked it?
I did.
I'm so surprised.
I don't like anything we do, so it's good when I like something. Yeah, I'm just here.
Ryan's a bitter person.
I'm being
Comic
forced
Fam.
to be here.